Okay, I'm so confused by everything. Mm. How the hell do I change the category? Mm. Mm-hmm. Eh, mm, minuta. Minuta. Ej. Synthese. Joo. Maybe let's go 30 poles. I don't know why. Double Anton. What else do I expect? Mm-hmm. Wait. Wait a fucking moment. Am I not gonna get another character in 300 more balls? Is standard selector a one-time thing? Or is it a yearly thing? do you need to? Ah, yeah, makes sense. I wonder how much she needs. I'm going to go like this.
Hello and welcome to my channel, I Win to Lose Gaming. The next S-rank agent, Evelyn, has arrived or has almost arrived. In this video, you'll learn everything you need to know about Evelyn. Evelyn is our first featured S-rank fire attack agent, and there's no other way to put it, she's way too hot, which is why she removes her jacket mid-fight. Evelyn is a powerful DPS character who focuses on outputting a ton of chain attack damage. This video was filmed on the early access server and is not indicative of the final product. There may be some changes on release, so be sure to check the comments down below to see if there are any. In this video, we'll go over her kit, her drives and stats, Wenjins, Mindscapes, teams, which will include some bangus as well, a showcase, and of course, my opinion at the end.
Let's go there. Just because I don't want to change anything.
Alright, Evelyn's kit is definitely a bit more complicated than your average bear.
Ooh, that's kind of small.
But hopefully we'll have a decent understanding by the end of this section. First, we need to understand her unique resources, Burning Embers and Burning Tethers. Evelyn can hold up to 16 Burning Embers, and you can generate Burning Embers via many different attacks, such as, for example, her basic attacks. Then we have her hold basic attack, Garrote, which, no joke, means to kill someone by strangulation, typically with an iron collar or length of wire or cord. Anyway, she can consume 8 burning embers to perform Garrote, where each part generates 1 burning tether. Once Evelyn has reached 3 burning tethers, she's able to consume them via the hold basic attack to output a special chain attack, which I'll be calling the burning chain attack. Rewinding a bit, her basics have 5 hits. B1, B2, B3 generate 1 burning ember each, B4 generates 2, and B5 generates 3 burning embers. In total, her B1 through 5 generates 8 burning embers, which allows her to perform her hold basic attack, Garrote. These basics are useful for generating embers, especially if the enemy isn't attacking and isn't stunned. Also, her B4 and B5 have some evasive properties due to how high she jumps and how far back she moves. A few additional notes is that during Garrote you have increased interrupt resistance and 40% damage reduction. And even if you animation cancel Garrote with something like her ultimate, you'll still get the burning tether associated with it. Finally, her burning chain deals the same damage as her chain attack, but it is less likely to interrupt the enemy's actions. Despite that, one nice benefit that her burning chain attack has over her regular chain attack is that it's swap cancelable. Looking at some additional details of her basic attacks, we can see that her Garrotes do much more motion value per second, which is the multiplier per second, than her regular basic attacks. But even these pale in comparison to the MV per second of her chain attack, which deals over 1000 MV per second. Up next we have Evelyn's special and EX special. But before that, we need to talk about another Evelyn specific mechanic called bind. Bind is when Evelyn has a string attached to the enemy, and you can bind the enemy via many different methods, including her basic 5, special lock position, dodge counter, assist follow-up, burning chain attack, and ultimate. When an enemy is binded, Evelyn will gain 25% additional crit rate via her core passive. Now, back to her specials. If there is no binded enemy, you can press the special button to perform special attack locked position, which binds the enemy. Now that the enemy is binded, Evelyn will have access to the rest of her specials as well as her EX special. Starting with her regular special attack, Binding Sunder first form. Evelyn will perform the first part of it, which is this cool twirly string attack, and ends it with a detonation which unbinds the enemy. Unfortunately, this unbind is actively detrimental because it deals negligible damage, causes her to leave her bind state, which puts her crit rate buff on a timer, and doesn't even generate any burning embers. Fortunately, you can cancel the detonation animation by simply mashing the basic attack button. This is nice because from her regular special, Evelyn will go straight into her alternative B3. Another great property of her regular special is that it can actually dodge enemy attacks, and if you successfully dodge an attack with it, that will generate an additional 4 burning embers. As for her EX special, Binding Sunder final form, it costs 60 energy, and like her regular special, it can only be performed if you have an enemy binded, and it's a significantly enhanced version of her regular special. It also has the actively detrimental detonation, which you can cancel into Alt B3. Instead of generating just 1 burning ember, it generates a whopping 8 burning embers, and it can dodge enemy attacks for an additional 4 burning embers. And both her specials have decent properties versus smaller enemies. And finally, when you swap Evelyn off and there's a binded enemy, Evelyn will actually perform her regular special to unbind the enemy. Notably, she won't actually generate any burning embers with this free swap off special attack, and she's also invincible during it. This is mostly entirely for removing the bind, so you have to actually rebind the opponent when you swap her back on. And one last strange detail is that you can actually hold her special button down against an unbinded enemy, which will skip the kick animation and go straight into the tying up animation of either her special or EX special, allowing you to dodge more easily with her special. Finally, if you keep holding the special button, it'll behave similarly to holding the basic attack button, and she'll start performing her burning chain or garrotes if she has enough resources for them. So yeah, you can literally hold down the special button to do a lot of her attacks as well.
Surrender is a valid option.
On to the rest of her kit. Quick assist, follow-up, and dodge counter are all very solid, as they automatically bind the enemy, each generate 2 burning embers, and are followed up by alternative B3. Her actual chain attack can be performed like other chain attacks, binds the enemy, and deals tons of damage. Notably, it does not generate any burning embers or burning tethers. Finally, Evelyn's ultimate has her yeeting her jacket to its demise. Let's play the world's smallest violin to commemorate the loss of her jacket. Her ultimate gives her 1 burning tether, and she'll enter jacketless state, where all future burning chain attacks will refund 1 burning tether, significantly improving her burning chain attack's efficiency in future rotations. Speaking of future rotations, she has a different jacketless animation for her ultimate, where there's more of a focus on her armpit instead of her tossing her jacket. This ultimate does the exact same stuff as the other one, just with more deodorant involved. This brings us to the final portion of her kit, and also answers why exactly do Evelyn's chain attacks and ultimate do so much damage. Well, her additional ability, which is activated by having a support agent or stun agent in her team, not only increases chain and ultimate damage by 30%, it also, if you have over 80% crit rate, increases the chain and ultimate numbers you see in her stat page to 1.25x, which of course her core ability's 25% crit rate counts towards the 80% crit rate requirement. This means that each chain attack deals 2,073.4% damage, and her ultimate has a whopping 4,971.6% damage multiplier. Since she's generally able to output, spoilers, 3 to 5 chains in a stun window, well, she's able to output around 6,000 to 10,000% of chain attack damage multiplier in a stun window. So looking at her full kit, we can see that by far her best DPS options are her chain attacks and ultimate, followed by her EX special, whereas pretty much everything else in her kit does significantly less damage. Since her EX specials do so much DPS and generate so many burning embers, I have to find myself saving energy for the stun window. Also, as long as you bring Evelyn onto the field via a quick assist, defensive assist follow-up, or chain attack, Evelyn will be able to automatically bind the enemy. As we can see, since her basic attacks deal such low DPS and are slow at generating burning embers in comparison to her EX special, I want to avoid using them if possible during an enemy stun window. And of course, she has many combo options, the few that stand out being B1 through 5 generating 8 burning embers, which is enough for one garage. Also, quick assist follow-up, and dodge counter in the B3 through 5 also gives 8 burning embers, which is enough for one garage. Finally, special and EX special dodges lead to some awkward numbers for ember generation, but mix in a few additional basics and you'll be able to reach the 8 and 16 burning embers needed for your garage. And while editing, of course, I realized that this combo is even faster at reaching 16 burning embers than the previous combo, so I figured I'd include it here. But basically, if you use your EX special to dodge an enemy's attack, then you use B3 alt dash attack B2 B3.
Not sure about this one.
2/3 of a second of time to generate 16 embers for 2 garrots.
Light it up. Get to work.
Alright, let's talk a bit about Evelyn's rotation. Before stunning an enemy, you'll generally want to spend some time on field with Evelyn to build burning embers and burning tethers. While you don't have to fully fill her up, if you want to maximize the damage she does during a stun window, generating 3 burning tethers and filling up on burning embers, as well as having some energy for her EX special is helpful. However, this does require more additional field time. Now let's talk about the stun window rotation. Before continuing, you'll need to learn how to do a chain cancel. This technique is useful against bosses, who you can perform 3 chain attacks against. Start by stunning the boss with any character besides your DPS. Use your DPS character's chain attack, which brings the remaining chain attack counter down to 2. Then you can cancel the chain by pressing the middle mouse button on PC or double tapping some empty space on mobile. Canceling the chain will consume 1 chain attack, bringing the remaining chain attacks down to 1. However, we can swap off of our DPS character and stun the enemy again, allowing for another chain attack for our DPS character. Now, the following stun combos and rotations will assume you've fully filled her up, both in burning embers, burning tethers, as well as energy. Again, don't feel too bad if you can't fully fill her up. The point is to understand the fundamentals and eventually experiment to find what works for you, as well as to see what works for different fights. First, stun the enemy with someone besides Evelyn. Then perform Evelyn's chain attack and perform a chain cancel. Swap to someone else and stun the enemy and perform another chain attack with Evelyn. Perform a burning chain by pressing and holding the basic attack button. Funnily enough, you can keep holding the basic attack button for Evelyn to perform Garrote 1 and Garrote 2. Now use an EX special to generate 8 burning embers to perform another Garrote first form into burning chain. As we can see, we're able to do 4 chain attacks during this stun window, but our ultimate was too slow to hit the enemy during the stun window. So let's improve on the previous combo with the following. This time, we'll stun with Lucy's EX special to give Evelyn Lucy's buffs. Chain attack with Evelyn and chain cancel. Then perform her burning chain and swap cancel. Try to time the stun with the last finger snap of Evelyn's burning chain attack, and of course then, after the enemy stun again, perform Evelyn's chain attack. Then use her ultimate. Now we garrote first form into EX special into garrote first form. The reason we use garrote first form twice here is to save frames, since it's faster than her garrote second form. Thanks to the one from her ultimate, this gives us our 4th burning chain. As you can see, we improved on the previous combo with uptime on Lucy's buff, and we were able to squeeze in an additional ultimate during the enemy's stun window. Here's one last combo example to really push her combo game to its limit, but it's her very situational 6-chain combo with Astra and Lighter, and it only works against certain enemies. I'm not going to narrate every step as you can see it on the screen, but we included an additional alt cancel to animation cancel a garrote, and we utilize the free chain attack from Astrayev's ultimate, and we utilize a stun extension via both Lighter as well as an impair on the enemy. Anyway, at this point we're getting into, I guess, more advanced stuff, but the point is her combo game is flexible, and truthfully, I'm just scratching the surface of what she can do. So be sure to experiment and let us know if you found anything interesting down in the comments below. As for talent priority, prioritize her core and chain, then her special, followed by her basics, and finally her assists and dash attack. We've made it to the math portion of this video, and before we drive on over to her drive sets, let's start by talking about Evelyn's crit rate. It's highly recommended to get Evelyn over 80% crit rate, even at the cost of a lopsided crit ratio, to activate her additional abilities buff. As such, I've given a few examples of how many crit rate rolls you need to reach 80% depending on your W engine choice. Remember, Evelyn also gains 25% additional crit rate in combat from her core ability at max level, so on her stat page, we'll want 55% crit rate or more. Also, we'll want no more than 75% crit rate on her stat page, or else we'll overcrit. For Wenjins with crit rate as its secondary stat, like her signature Wenjin, the Heartstring Nocturne, and the free-to-play friendly event Wenjin, the Mercado Desire, as well as many others, we can see that if we use a crit damage main stat in slot 4, we'll need 3 to 7 crit rate rolls across all 6 drives, which is very reasonable and actually quite easy to reach. However, the third line in this chart shows what happens if you equip a crit rate main stat in slot 4 with her signature Wenjin, and she's already at 92.4% minimum crit rate, which means that just a few crit rate rolls across all your drives will lead her to overcrit, and thus, with all the crit rate Wenjins, it's pretty recommended to use crit damage in slot 4. Now, when might you want to equip crit rate as a main stat in slot 4? If you end up using a Wenjin without crit rate, and for example without the Woodpecker Electro, now we're looking at roughly 15 crit rate rolls to reach 80% crit rate, which is much more challenging to pull off, albeit still far from impossible. As such, for non-crit rate Wenjins, mix and match substats, the 2-piece set bonus of the Woodpecker Electro, and a crit rate slot 4 to reach 80% crit rate. Okay, now that we've gone over her crit rate requirements, let's talk about the drives and the 4-piece set bonuses. Evelyn actually doesn't have a great 4-piece drive set to choose from, with overall though my favorite being the 4-piece Hormone Punk. Because Evelyn can avoid taking the field for some time while you're working on stunning the boss, this can help maintain your Hormone Punk's buff timing to line up with the enemy's stun window. Not only that, but because of how you'll want to swap in multiple times during a typical stun window with her, if the Hormone Punk's buff wasn't active at the beginning, there's a decent chance you can activate it midway through her rotation. But that's the thing. With Hormone Punk being one of her better options, this is an indicator that she doesn't actually have many great options. And it's also why, though it's my personal favorite set for her, I'm only giving it a 4 slime rating. As usual though, we have the usual suspect, the Woodpecker Electro, as a good alternative. The issue with the Woodpecker Electro though is the beginning of an Evelyn stun rotation ideally doesn't include basics or EX specials, so you will either have to sacrifice some uptime on this buff or sacrifice some combo optimization. Still, the Woodpecker is always a solid set, so you can definitely use it on her. Next, we have the 4-piece Puffer Electro. Although keep in mind that you often sometimes won't have her ultimate, and not only that, but you don't typically start her rotation with an ultimate, so yeah, this thing's buff uptime isn't even perfect even if you do have her ultimate. Considering these are her 3 best options though, I think you can start to see the issues with her 4-piece drive set options. But overall, if you've got a good Hormone Punk set or Woodpecker Electro, or I guess even the Puffer Electro, feel free to use any of them as they are the best options for Evelyn as of her release date. Now the 4-piece set that I wanted to talk about is the 4-piece Infernal Metal. Frankly, I don't even recommend it for a Wenjin like the Brimstone. Since it gives 28% crit rate upon hitting an enemy that's burning, this means that you'll either have too much crit or too little crit. If you have over 80% base crit rate, in order to ensure her additional ability has no downtime, then you'll overcrit with 108% crit rate with the Inferno Metals buff active. Alternatively, if you have less than 72% crit rate to avoid the overcrit, when you don't have this drive sets buff active, then you will be under 80% crit rate, and trust me, you will often have downtime on this thing's buff. As for the 2-piece set bonuses, it's the usual suspects of 2-piece Inferno Metal, 2-piece Hormone Punk, 2-piece Woodpecker, 2-piece Branch and Blade, and even 2-piece Puffer Electro, all being good choices, so just pick the one you have the best substats for.
Oh,
so the main
sure.
stats, slot 4 is going to be crit damage if you're using a Wenjin with crit rate. And alternatively, you can use crit rate for Wenjins without crit rate. Overall, I recommend fire damage for slot 5, although for the few of you out there who have lighter, attack percent in slot 5 is a great option with lighter, and not as great without lighter. As for slot 6, it's going to be attack percent. For substats, go for crit rate until you get over 80% crit rate. Then crit damage is always great, and you can try to maintain that 1 to 2 crit rate to crit damage ratio. Attack percent is the next highest priority, followed by flat pen and flat attack not being completely useless. Alrighty, next we have Evelyn's Wenjin option. Evelyn's signature Wenjin, the Heartstring Nocturne, makes a huge difference for her, making it by far and away her best option. This is largely due to the additional amount of fire penetration for her chain and ultimate damage, of which, well, Evelyn does a lot of. With the next best option being Harumasa's signature Wenjin, the Zanshin Herb Case. And although if you have this thing, you're probably using on Harumasa, you can use it on Evelyn as well. Still, it's only at around 78.7% of her signature Wenjin, which is quite a large difference. Zuyuan's signature Wenjin is quite similar, the Riot Suppressor Mark 6, in that it is just a decent stat stick. Next we have the Brimstone. I've assumed just 3 stacks on average, which is honestly a bit generous, but you can make some small adjustments to her rotation for an extra stack here and there. An issue with the Brimstone is that you can choose to play suboptimally with normals weaved into a stun combo, or you can use a more optimized combo with less stacks and basics on the Brimstone. Still, this is a very usable option and is one of her better options outside of the stun window. Interestingly, the Marcato Desire is a reasonable and very solid free-to-play friendly option that actually has crit rate as a secondary stat, although you will definitely have some downtime on the additional mega attack it gains from having an enemy have Anomaly on them. Up next we have the Steel Cushion. And honestly, I think Evelyn has plenty of stuff to focus on already, besides this weapon's passive of staying behind the enemy. Still, it's an option and is very usable. The Deep Sea Visitor, Ellen's signature Wenjin, is a usable stat stick, although keep in mind you might usable. The Deep Sea Visitor passive of staying, I think an enemy have Anomaly will death fall side of the stun window. Interestingly, the Marcato Desire is a reasonable and very solid free-to-play friendly option that actually has crit rate as a secondary stat, although you will definitely have some downtime on the additional mega attack it gains from having an enemy have Anomaly on them. Up next we have the Steel Cushion, and honestly I think Evelyn has plenty of stuff to focus on already, besides this weapon's passive of staying behind the enemy. Still, it's an option and it's very usable. The Deep Sea Visitor, Ellen's signature Wenjin, is a usable stat stick, although keep in mind you might overcrit with it. Then we have some of the other 4-star options like the Starlight Engine, which has a reasonably low opportunity cost to maintain its buff. And of course, there are some additional options in this list for you to take a gander at. Up next we have Evelyn's Mindscapes. And investment priority. Her signature Wenjin is around 27.4% better than the best free-to-play option, the Marcato Desire, and it's what I personally recommend going for before any of her Mindscapes. Her Mindscape 1 does provide a great quality of life of 1500 decibels at the beginning of the fight, enabling her to quickly discard her jacket. M2, as usual, provides many enhancements, the biggest one of which is her ability to save around 4 seconds of field time with the Burning Ember refund once every 25 seconds. It also allows her Burning chain attacks to more easily interrupt enemies, which is another nice quality of life. Keep in mind that my calcs do not factor in the 4 seconds of out of stun field time saved. Mindscape 3 gives 2 talent levels, and Mindscape 4 gives a shield plus crit damage. Mindscape 5 is another expensive 2 talent levels, and finally Mindscape 6 allows her to be much more effective outside of stun windows by adding an additional 375% procs of damage, which my calcs didn't fully account for since this is just a stun window rotation. And her signature weapon at U5 is an expensive upgrade, and she'll be doing over twice the DPS of an M0U1 Evelyn. Alright, now we've made it to Evelyn's teams. And for Evelyn, I went out of the way to provide you some additional calcs for her support. Evelyn is a character who excels with the classic support plus stunner team structure. For her support options, and yes, I've decided to throw Caesar into this category, we can see how much of a damage increase we can expect Evelyn to have with each of them, with Astra Yao unsurprisingly being the best option. Not only that, but with Astra Yao's ultimate, you're able to get a 5-chain combo and save on Evelyn's EX specials, which can massively speed up Evelyn's Burning Ember generation outside of a stun window. Of course, Evelyn also appreciates the quick assist spam, which also speeds up her Burning Ember generation. So yeah, one of the biggest upgrades you can get for Evelyn is by going back in time and getting Astra Yao. Still, as we can see, Caesar, Lucy, and Nicole are all very competent supports, offering various other benefits that Astra Yao doesn't. As for the stun class agents, using Ambi as a baseline who generally provides no offensive buffs, we can see that Kaleda is a nice upgrade since she can provide up to 70% additional chain damage and is a better user of something like
is it max once again
to Ambi, who does rely on her basics to stun the enemy. Qingyi can actually amplify Evelyn's damage significantly, and
it's pretty close to it at least,
thanks to increasing the stun multiplier by 80%. However, many important enemies like Pompey that are weak to fire tend to resist electric, which means slower stunning for a stun agent. I think this is because enemies that are weak to fire often look a bit furry with furry jackets or something, which I guess makes them look extra flammable. I'm seeing a trend with Evelyn removing and burning off jackets. But for enemies that don't resist electric, Qingyi will be an incredible stunner for Evelyn. Still, all of them pale in comparison to Lighter, who obviously was designed for a character like Evelyn, providing comical buffs to fire agents as well as 3 additional seconds of stun window, allowing Evelyn to squeeze in nearly an entire additional 5th chain attack. So yeah, a full team of Astra Yao plus Lighter is a substantial upgrade over a much more free-to-play friendly team like Lucy plus Kaleda. Alright, this guide video really knocked the wind out of me. It just took me way longer than I would have liked, so I'm going to keep this showcase very short because I already did a pretty comprehensive showcase in the Creator Experience Server preview version. Be sure to go check that video out if you want to see some more additional showcases, because yeah, again, I think that video does a pretty good job actually showcasing her. But yeah, I did optimize this one just a tiny bit more because you really don't have to build any of Evelyn's resources at all, and instead, the most important thing is to actually just go for the fast stun on Lighter, and I'm sure you can speed up the stun rotation by a lot. And really, that's the bottleneck here, because we can see that with just 2 chain attacks as well as Evelyn's ultimate, we're able to just take out this boss without any effort at all. So yeah, absolutely dominating. I remember back in the day, this one was slightly challenging to kind of beat up very quickly, but now with Evelyn as well as her optimal team, that, you know, bit of content is kind of a joke.
Okay, I don't need to give you a preamble on this one. This is the new planetary interface for Stellaris 4.0, and it is vastly different from what we have currently in the 3.0 series. Yeah, this is like day and night. Like, it's so vastly different because the entire system of how planets function is going to completely change on the surface. And today we're going to be talking about this by making some comparisons with the existing system and the new system. Now please be aware, my cursor cannot go on top of this because of the way things are set up here, which is a little bit unfortunate, but there's nothing we can do about it at this moment in time. However, we're going to do our best in order to talk about things, and specifically talk about zones, because zones are going to very, very drastically change things when it comes to how planets are developed, as well as how buildings are applied. Because buildings are going to get redeveloped ever so slightly. So let's dive in, shall we? So let's first of all talk about the buildings, and then we'll talk about the zones. Buildings in their current shape, you would have to get a city district or an industrial district, develop them, and then you would unlock a building slot. In Star Wars 4.0, this is going to change completely, as the amount of building slots that you have available will be attached to the particular districts. So your mining district, your energy district, your food district. I don't know why they changed the order here, by the way. That's a little bit weird. Are going to define how many building slots you have, as well as the amount of technologies that you have. So first of all, the mining districts, you will no longer add districts. You would develop one big district. It doesn't really matter. It's just nomenclature. You're still adding blocks to a picture. That's exactly what you're doing. You still have like the slots that you can have here, the amount of districts that's currently specified in the top right there in the image as 20 and 22. Regardless, as you go throughout things, you'll be able to modify those districts and add more workforce by, for instance, adding a mine, or adding a Betharian power plant, or some other modification that you can slowly but steadily add over time. And that's how the buildings will work. So kind of interesting on that one, that you, if you like really focus on like minerals, you'll have a lot of mineral buildings there, which makes perfect sense. You don't need to develop the actual districts themselves if you don't want to, but you can. So, you know, that's a thing. But the real kicker here is that the industrial districts are kind of sort of going to go away and are being replaced with the zones. Now, what do I mean by the zones? On the right here, you'll have a picture that says research zone as well as fortress zones. Now, those can be anything. Those can be metallurgy, those can be consumer goods zones, or industrial zones, or something along those lines. But there will be effectively be replacing the industrial district with further specialization options. Basically, the industrial district becomes a flex.
Is this the day? Has it come at last?
Mein Fräulein, the text has been proofread again, per your wishes.
Mer Nachtreich. Greetings, lesson 1. Today is
You
Tuesday.
certainly seem like you're in a good mood, Fischl. Is the issue with Lisa resolved? Come on, Fischl. It's okay to admit that you had to ask her nicely.
Mein Fräulein speaks truth, in fact, with the sole qualification that Ms. Lisa handed over a fresh copy of the text. As it turned out, she left the library to seek the opinion of the Adventurers Guild, and also to print a new copy of the manuscript.
Oh, yeah.
Thus, we could make what edits we needed without damaging the copy that is in the library's care.
Ah, so that's what happened. Paimon knew Lisa always liked you, Fischl. She'd never make things hard for you just because.
As you wish, mein Fräulein. Mein Fräulein, we must be going.
Mhm. Hemen grup det så mycket. A translation. She literally translated to the same thing she usually says. Translation. Completely useless. Yay! Thanks, Cook.
District. It can be anything. It can be an industrial zone. It can be a science zone. It can be a anything zone. You can have a water park there. I don't know. I'm sure that the modders will go completely crazy with this. Irregardless, you can. This will now become whatever zone you want it to be. So what that means is that you have your workforce that is being generated by the city district, which you can also independently develop, and you can.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's short. Чичия.
modify the city district by adding zones and having workforce applied. So let's say that you have 1,000 people that work in your city district, 1,000 citizens, and you add a research zone that is not completely developed, and all of a sudden you have 200 research jobs, or something along those lines. And then you can further develop those, and then one takes away from the other slowly over time. Sure, there's going to be some growth here and there, but that's like the big...
Ага. Старший, значит, Клифф.
Rev the engines! Ready. Try and stop me!
Mhm.
Hey, Shanyon! You're here after all! You seem like you're in a good mood. Right? You're not angry anymore, are you?
Mhm.
Oh, we're glad you like it. We would have felt awful if we made you spend all that effort climbing up here only for you not to enjoy yourself. That's true. Paimon almost forgot that she's a big illuminated bird.
Mhm.
What Paimon means to say is that we're no match for your super duper adeptal powers. She can attest to that. It was a tough climb to the summit the first time we came here.
Mhm.
Speaking of, why are you alone? Paimon thought Ganyu, Shenhe, or the others might come along with you.
Mhm.
You really are like one of those wandering heroines from the stories.
Mhm. Mm-hmm.
Huh? Us too? Oh, that makes total sense. Alright then, let's take some photos. Thanks a lot, Shanyan. Right, sure. Did Paimon not wipe off the biscuit crumbs from breakfast?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Paimon too. Ooh, Paimon wants to see. Huh. You have a look. But the photos you had us take of you had a whole eye full of pretty scenery. Why the change?
Mm-hmm. No actual photos for me. Alright, that's going to be it for the strong block. Fun, thanks for watching. Next time.